What a difference a year can sometimes make, but it's insane to think that, you know, this happened literally over a year ago, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it. But just last year, you may remember the whole P&O Ferries debacle, where essentially P&O decided that it was going to fire the majority of its staff, and then it was going to rehire them on worse terms. In fact, it got away with this pretty much. They were essentially given the green light, and even the boss of P&O and sort of the ferry company said, "Yeah, we broke the we broke the law on this." And what was the government's response? So always remember that there was an outcry. There's a lot of people who go, "Oh, Labour don't care about workers." But once again, I want to reiterate what I'm about to tell you today is Labour policy to end fire and rehire, which has affected thousands of people for years. And the Conservatives have done nothing about it. The other thing I also say they should definitely bring to an end is 0 hour contracts, because that's another thing that they definitely should bring to an end. But if they can get rid of fire and rehire and make sure this is brought to an end, and I think these 5 points that Angela Rayner has sort of brought today of what they sort of intend to do, I think this is great. And I think you've got a lot of people out there who say, "Oh, Labour don't care about workers." Well, what about this? What about this? This right here from Angela Rayner. Is this nothing? Did you not care all of a sudden? And of course, no. Like I say, most of these people who complain about Labour never really go and actually have a look at what Labour are saying, what the Labour politicians are actually saying. You know, Ed Miliband has said multiple times he's going to strengthen powers of unions. And even in this, and in one of these points, is to expressly strengthen union power. And yet we are told, "Oh, Labour don't care about unions." So anyway, today we're going to have a look at this to end the mass fire and rehire that we've seen, unfortunately, plague a lot of very big companies on this, and it affects thousands of people a year, unfortunately, and it is a plague that we really need to take care of. But the only way we can really take care of that is if we actually move to end this and start to introduce regulations so that companies cannot do this. So what are these 5 point plans? So this is what they call the New Deal for working people. So this is what it is coming under, or at least the plan is being called this New Deal. And I think these points are, to be honest, very, very good. So the first one, it requires that all employees are going to all employers properly consult and reach agreements with their staff about any changes to contracts. So most people, again, when we look at sort of the fire and rehire tactics, they will walk into work and then they get told, "By the way, your contract's being renegotiated or your contract's being changed. If you don't agree to it, goodbye." Essentially, that is when it tends to happen. So the fact that you are now going to require employees or employers to go, maybe you've got to at least give notice, like 3 months notice if you're going to change someone's contract. You can't just bang, your contract's changed, now sign it or there's the door. So that will be a first good step in protecting workers from this type of activity. The next point, preventing workers from being dismissed if they don't agree to a worse contract. Again, sounds really simple, but this is something the Conservative government, if they care about workers so much, as we're often told by some of these Northern Tory MPs like Lee Anderson, "Oh, they care about workers." Well, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you introduce policy to help protect workers? Again, just something as simple as that, that a company cannot fire a worker if they present a worse contract. Why should a worker have to sign it? If that message is being presented is worse than the current one, why should they have to sign it? And in many cases, if they don't sign it, well, it's a dismissal. So protecting workers from that is something so simple. And again, it's regulation. This is what it all comes down to, regulation. So already, so far, just on these 2 points, would help protect hundreds of thousands of workers from this type of very exploitative fire and rehire actions. So next point, ensuring unions, yes, ensuring unions can protect terms and conditions when fire and rehire tactics are used. Excellent. That's good. Love it. Giving more power to unions. Again, excellent. Love it. That is the type of thing we need to see more of. And I'm all for that. That is a great move from Labour to do this. So if they can do that, empower those unions so they can protect the terms and conditions when these tactics are used, excellent. Next one. Protecting at-risk workers by making the quote Seafarers Welfare Charter legally binding. Again, this is sort of people who sort of are at risk, seafarers mostly type of things. So it is still really, really important that you sort of protect at-risk workers. I'm not too sure what the Seafarers Welfare Charter is. Ultimately, though, I can probably say if they're going to sort of make it legally binding, I'm guessing it's sort of this is how you need to take care of seafarers. This is how their welfare really needs to be sort of taken care of. Well, yeah, perfect. I'm all in favor for that. If you want to make something legally binding that protects workers, I'm all for it. Even more so if it helps to defend their welfare as well. And again, stops companies, especially sort of again, much in sort of reference to sort of the P&O. Excellent. So this is very, very much what we sort of really need to do. And then finally, to bring forward the investigation into Mr. Hepplethwaite, and which is still not concluded, and making sure the lessons are learned. So I believe he is the P&O boss, I think he was at the time of this. And again, it was an investigation brought up to make sure, hey, look, this guy clearly, bear in mind, a conservative actually made the point that he was not fit to lead a British company. Mr. Grant Shapps said that, of all people, said he was not fit to lead. He was unfit to lead a British company. Yeah, I think that's as strong as maybe as you're going to get a voice on that front. That's for sure. But we'll see. So yeah, ultimately, I think these points, certainly protecting sort of workers' rights, giving more powers to unions, making sure that if a company says here's a worse contract than the one you have now, why should I have to sign a worse contract? We saw this not only just with P&O, but a couple of years ago with British Gas. British Gas, infamous. They did this massively, I think, a couple of years ago, a mass sort of firing and rehiring for their gas engineers. Like I said, they were offered a worse contract, and it was like, well, what do we do? So I think going forward, this is going to be very, very good for workers. I think this is a good move by Labour, and it does go once again to show you that yes, Labour does have a lot of good ideas that would help massively protect British workers. Something which, again, a lot of people and critics who criticise Labour say, "Oh, there's no plans to do that." Well, they're all there. Again, go check it out in the new thing that they've released. It's called the Deal, a New Deal for Working People. And I hope to see sort of more of this, and I hope to see it sort of expanded more upon, because this is the type of thing that will win Labour votes. So ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a good thing. And I think it's a big, big win, not only for, well, like I say, that sort of Keir Starmer and sort of Labour, and even Angela Rayner, who's sort of heavily pushing this as well. But also, it's going to be a win for British workers. But of course, Labour's going to win and it's going to get in. So that's the first big thing. But I think having policies like this does help them get that win. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, we'll see you all next time.